Everyone else is now muted.
Okay, so we were supposed to go for...
You are the last party in the conference.
Really, on the last party? So I'll be logging in now, and oh yeah, this is not the account. I'll just connect to the other one. Oh, it will ask for my authorization. Authorizing from cell phone. Alright guys, so last time we were creating the storage, and now okay, so let's get going. Now, what we were talking about last time was storage, and we were able to do some storage related tasks there, and November 2019. So in storage, we will now create a storage account and explore all the features of storage. So last time we talked about the storage account and in last class. So this time I'm just gonna create straight storage account, because in last class we did create the storage account already. So I'm gonna be fast now to create a storage account. I'll be a bit faster. So what we need to do is that I'm just gonna create go ahead and start creating that storage account. So for that, I'll just click the home button, and then I'll go to the storage account area here. Last time we were able to create load balancer for the virtual machine and prove that it works. Now with storage accounts, I'm just gonna click the add button here, and so there's a resource group that I need to put there, and I'll just put the today's resource group. Oops, create new, and 04Nov2019 -RG, and okay. So what we need to do here is instance details. I'll just put some name there, your first name 04Nov. It has to be all small case. 2019, and biryani. So I'll just put this time biryani here, and so I'm just putting the storage account name here. Then I'll just go for that region which has more facilities, so East US, and then there's performance standard, and then there's premium. So last class we talked about the storage v2, storage v1, and blob, but we're going to still explore some more options there. Replication, and then access tier, we talked about that. So replication had LRS, ZRS, GRS, RAGRS, GZRS, and RAGZRS. So LRS is for that you are locally within one zone, and you don't want to spend a lot of money. So it is within one zone within the data center between the two racks. And then zone redundant storage is that within one region but between two zones. redundant storage is between two regions and both are active. Read access geo redundant is that within two regions and one is passive, one is active. In last class we talked about it in detail. So, and GZRS is again that it's within the same premises or within the same area, within the same continent, you can say, between two regions. The nearest between one region and the nearest region to that, that would be geozone redundant. And read access. So geozone redundant will be within nearest region. So and it will be active. The data will be in both places. And read access geozone redundant is they are both in preview right now. One is passive, one is active, and it is the region is nearest region. There's partnership. So I'm just gonna stick to the LRS here because later we're gonna try to check that how to upgrade it to GRS if we can do that or not. And access tier delete, not delete, default is hot, which is frequently used data, cool, which is infrequently used data, and archive, which is the third form, and that is for long-term storage. So we talked about that, and then we went for networking here. Then we talked about the public endpoint that from the internet you can connect to that storage. And then we have public endpoint selected networks if you want to connect to internal um, vNets, which will be what we will be creating soon, vNets. And then private endpoint is whichever endpoint either from the branch or from your own vNet as well, wherever you want to connect to this storage. Then we go for advanced, and here secure transport required. So this is obviously the encryption, HTTPS, and Azure files, large file support. So it says there large file supports. So you will be able to have a lot of bandwidth made available. So and it says that provides file share support up to a maximum of 100 terabyte. Large file share storage accounts do not have the ability to convert geo-redundant storage offerings, and upgrade is permanent. So the thing is that if you enable large file support, say they cannot go geo-redundant or across the nearest region there. So or across the region, because it's large file, it's very huge file, very big file, and they need a lot of bandwidth for that. So they're saying that if you want replication to be enabled, then it's not going to be possible with large files, so I'll just keep it disabled. Data protection again is soft delete, and that is you can just keep the data for 1 year. So whatever you delete, it can maximum be kept to 1 year, 365 days, and you can recover that data within that time. Otherwise, if you keep it disabled, so if you delete data from here, you won't be able to recover that. Data lake storage is for analytical. Okay, so what I was talking about is data lake storage it's generation 2. So this is just if you have huge data and you put it on all the virtual machines in the background, so you can run business intelligence tools to do complicated analysis reporting there. So, and if I click next tags, nothing in the tags, and then we go for review plus create. So that is we're just gonna create with all those options there. If you click the create button, zooming. Okay, so there is yeah, there was that disturbance with the kid. Okay, so I'm just going to go to that storage account here, and then I'll just go down to storage accounts here, and then we go down to storage account. We can just go inside this storage account here, the biryani one. An overview is that we can connect with the storage account with open in Explorer. We can also have data transfer types there. So there is that activity log here, IAM, if you want to give access to others to this. Tags that you can just put anything, which department we need to connect to. Diagnose and solve problems. So this is just diagnose and solve problems, give you some troubleshooting tips there for whichever situation you are facing. Then there is data transfer. This is a very good feature there, that you can see estimated data size for transfer. So it kind of asks you that what do you want, what kind of data you want to upload there. So it asks that, hey, give us your requirement and we will give you a solution. So they will suggest you a solution. Suppose our requirement is 100 GB here, and approximate available network bandwidth is like 10 Gbps we have, and transfer frequency is we're gonna repeatedly transfer 100 GB. So they give you some solutions there: AZ copy, Azure PowerShell, Azure CLI, Azure Storage in Portal, and Azure Storage Explorer, and Azure Storage REST API SDK. So yeah, can't hear me. That's also a new feature that you cannot hear me now. Oh no, sorry. Are you able to hear me, Jatinder? Yeah. So this is just in data transfer that they suggest that these are the ways you can transfer the data, right? So, and you can just give them the requirements there: 1 TB, 50 TB. Suppose I go for 5 PB here, and then I say that my bandwidth is 100 Gbps, and I say that it's repeatedly. So still they suggest then some ways there. So Azure Databox Edge time to transfer can be low as 6 days. Otherwise, they're pretty much saying for 5 PB data is 6 days minimum it will take. And for the third party or Azure Databox Gateway. So now these are the ways if you have that kind of requirement. But they suggest all those requirements or solutions for your transfer. So yeah, it's kind of it was there, but yeah, it was like 6 months or 8 months it started showing up here. Now if we go for also overview, so there's that storage explorer here, or if this is the built-in explorer with which you can open and close files for your so this is the like you can download that explorer in your laptop and then upload files from there after connecting your storage account to that. We're talking about then data transfer here, and these are the ways they're suggesting when you go for all the when you give your requirements there. And then there are events there. Obviously the events will simply event automated logic apps. So definitely it will just ask you to create or it will just create a folder or container in your storage account, and then it will start gathering up all the events there. But you have to purchase the application. Either you go for event subscriptions, and suppose I go for the plus sign event subscription here, create event subscription, and then it asks for, so what kind of event you want to subscribe to, and then it will start alerting you for that. But the thing is that you will be charged a little more for being alerted for all the events. So if you go back to the storage account here, and inside, so there's that storage explorer that is still in preview, which means it's being tested right now. And the storage explorer that I have here is if I just I've already downloaded that. So storage, if I just type there Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, normally it's a small file, and when it opens, so it is just like a file explorer in Windows. This is just a storage explorer there, where you can simply upload and download files. So you can just connect your storage account to the storage explorer if it opens today. Well, I think it heard it. So in that case, what I created is now this is my storage account, and this is just trying to load and detect. Yes, it has loaded because I already added my account there. So, and just now I created that storage here, and if I expand that, there's blob containers, file shares, queues, and tables. If we go to blob containers here, then if I right click on the blob container, so we can create blob container here. So if I just go ahead and create a container, so suppose it's sales dept, and yeah, it should not be caps, sales dept, and I click anywhere else. So this is created here, sales dept. So if I click the blob containers now, and it is still opening, so there's a sales department container that is open now. This is what I opened or created inside the storage explorer, which is actually installed in my laptop. So if I just go up there where I created, so I created by connecting to the explorer and then created that container there. So if I go down to container here, so there's that sales department that I created in this container, blob container, which is called sales department container. So from this Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, we can just upload, download files as well if we want. So I'm just gonna close that. So there's a question. Jatinder is saying that I think there's a limit to how much you can transfer using Explorer. Well, this is for pretty much end user. So end user daily can upload and download, but this is not for professional uploads there. Although when you go for data transfer, it does mention professional upload to use the that file explorer or the Azure Explorer as well. So if I just go for the 5 petabyte and the extreme one and 100 Gbps, and it will be repeatedly done there. If it's not there, yeah, no, it's not there for it. So you're right, there is a limit there, isn't there? If I just go down to 500 terabyte and my connection is yeah, 100 Gbps, so if I just go down, still it is not there. If I go down to 1 terabyte and my connection, now Storage Explorer is there. So yes, you're right, it's in there. On 1 terabyte, Storage Explorer is showing there, but if I go a bit up to 50 terabyte, yeah, Storage Explorer is still showing there. So up to 50 terabyte it is showing, but will it show in 100 terabyte? Nope, now it's not showing. So definitely its limit is, as you said, 50 terabyte for Storage Explorer. And so that's good that with your statement we were able to check that as well. So Storage Explorer 50 terabyte limit there. We get that is for as you can just upload, download from here from your computer whenever you want. So it's easy for end users and administrators alike. Now there are those access keys here in the storage, and those access keys, storage account name, are first of all, that's the storage account name. Then there is key 1 access and the key 2. Now whenever we are connecting from third-party applications or even from Storage Explorer, we can just put those keys there. In AWS this is a requirement, but here in Azure it's an option. You want anyone to connect from third-party application with this connection, you can just let them use this key through if they want to connect programmatically, which means just from any third-party software to the Azure directly. So otherwise, yeah, these are the access keys that you can give and you can refresh and generate more keys. The current key will become immediately invalid and is not recoverable. Do you want to regenerate access key 1? Just to regenerate the access key for security reason, I'm just not going to click no, because I am connected through Storage Explorer with the help of this. Actually, I'm not connected to access key. So access key, yes, it is per storage account, exactly, Jatinder. And you can just refresh it to create auto generate new key. After that, whoever was connected with their application to the storage account with the old key, it will be invalid. They won't be able to connect if you click the refresh button here, and then the new key you have to give them, and they will have to connect again, reconnect again from that software with the new key. So yeah, refreshing, and it is per storage account, exactly. How would you track? Well, this is there's no tracking here. And second thing is, when you have event viewer there and you have monitoring application, and you would know that how many connections were made there by who at what time. But yeah, when the key is refreshed, how would you track the keys refresh? So it says here, see this, if I refresh, it says the current key will become immediately invalid, so and is not recoverable. So now after that, suppose I press yes here, so then I will give that key to whoever I want, and definitely I will know that who am I giving key to. And to those who had access, suppose I lost track of, and it is 20, 30, 40 users, so you can just give the key to whoever you want and actually then know how to do that. But there are automated way as well, monitoring applications there as well that can track that as well. uh, yeah, so monitoring applications, Jatinder, it would be first of all, if you go to the events here, this one. So, and that is within the storage account. Storage accounts monitoring is also robust. One is events here. If I go way down to the bottom here, so you will see alerts, monitoring. This is a full monitoring section here. Monitoring, insights preview, alerts, metrics, advisor recommendations, and then the classic view as well, resource health and connectivity check. So these are all, you can just create alerts according to, hey, who connected at what time to from which public IP, and you can have all kinds of connectivity to that storage account from this whole section, monitoring section. So in the real world, yes, you would be configuring those insights. So you will be configuring those alerts for all the containers. You will be configuring alerts for who connected to the storage account. So if you go to alerts here, you can create a new alert rule here. So this is a new alert rule. If I go to the new alert rule here, um, then it asks that resource is this, and select what. If you go to the select, then select the resources you want to monitor. Available signals for your selection will show up on the bottom right. Using groups need to be educated on this as it's sensitive. Exactly. Definitely. Users in groups need to be educated on this. Yes, exactly. So those normally suppose you're the senior administrator there, or you're the only cloud administrator there. So definitely, if I'm the administrator, I will be telling them, when I'm setting up the account, I will be creating a step-by-step process there. But I will be creating the monitoring alerts to whomever I'm about to give access according to the ticket. Suppose the ticket says, hey, give access to 5 sales department employees. So I'll be creating, as soon as I create a storage account, I'll be creating several monitoring alerts for critical resource, and then I will then hand over the access, or I will allow access to the users once I have created all the alerts, or during, after they are accessing, I can create alerts anytime for specific users as well. So definitely you're right that this is very important to create those rules, because we need to know who's connecting at what time and why, right? And if we go further down here from access keys, there is Azure application here, and Azure application again, we are on LRS here, and I chose the LRS there. If I go for storage endpoints and view all there, so right now whatever services are available are within LRS or locally redundant storage, which in within one zone and among data centers only, within one. If there's a zone level outage, you're not covered then. So this is LRS. Now obviously I would love to upgrade it to GRS now. So if I go to configuration area, which is after course, so configuration area, and it is written there, it is showing their LRS. So if I go down here and there is GRS, and I'll just click that GRS here, and once I click GRS, I'll click save. So there is that GRS, and I'll click save here. It is saying updating storage. Kids. Okay. So here it is now updating my storage from LRS to GRS. And once it is, so I'm just updating that from LRS to GRS. And there you go, it failed. Woohoo! The service is unavailable now. Please retry the request later. Okay, so there is kind of that outage in US East for me for this service from LRS to GRS, which I wanted to upgrade. So welcome to Azure. But this is what I wanted to go for. Suppose I go for RAGRS here, which was the default option in AWS. So I'm just connecting the RAGRS and then click saving, and that is okay. Woohoo! So RAGRS again is that you have active passive. One region is active, second is passive, and GRS would be just active on both sides. So I just went for configuration and just updated that. Then I go back to Azure application now. So now it is showing 2 points here: primary location and secondary location. And but it says here that customer controlled failover is not supported for your primary and secondary region. So so this is, we cannot just fail over ourselves, but if there is some outage that happens on the East US region, then it will the Microsoft will fail over for us. So we get that these are this is how we can just upgrade from LRS to GRS. If you click the view all here for the storage endpoints, now you can see that the primary blob service, primary file service, primary queue service, and table service. Then there is ADSL file system endpoint, primary static website, a secondary blob service, secondary queue service, secondary table, secondary ADSL. So it just says that you want to connect to those services. These are the links. Primary on the primary region, those links, and then on the secondary region, the links are there. So the GRS GRS failed. Then that why you picked RAGRS. I wanted to go and just show that how to upgrade from LRS to any one of those. I don't need GRS, I don't need RAGRS, but I just wanted to show how to upgrade. And I actually didn't need also LRS, but LRS I selected just to show how to upgrade to any one of those. But yeah, in my region or East US region right now, for now, maybe just for my connection or for several thousand connections, GRS is all of a sudden not available from the Azure side. From our side, it is okay. So I just selected the second one for no particular reason. Just to explain how to upgrade if you wanted to upgrade. So now there is our data that is being transferred there, and so that is geo replication. Not much there other than what we talked about before as well when we were in the last class, that the data is now replicated to the two regions there. Now there's that geo replication and access key we talked about, and then there's cores. Now cores is that if cores is an HTTP feature that enables a web application, so we must have first a web application running under one domain and to access resources in another domain. So if web browsers implement a security restriction known as same origin policy. So if you originated from one domain, you should stay there. That prevents a web page from calling APIs, application programming interface, in a different domain. So cores provides a secure way to allow one domain the origin domain to call APIs in another domain. So if you have a web application like SharePoint and that is attached to one of the domains, and you want that SharePoint wants to access suppose a storage account which belongs to the second domain, other domain, then with the help of cores you can actually let the two services belonging to different domains talk to each other. So that is something normally obviously web developers would be interested in, to make connection between the web applications or of one domain to another. So if you go to configuration here, so there is that the cost of your storage account depends on the usage and the options you choose below. And there is account kind, and we already have a storage v2 general purpose v2. Then there is performance. So we didn't go for premium, we went for standard. But now it's we cannot go for premium as well, because when you were creating the storage account at that time, we need to decide whether we want to go for premium or not. So at that time, if you don't go, so now you cannot upgrade that to premium. Suppose you wanted a lot of speed now, read IOPS, right? So you can't have that now. And then there is that secure transfer required. That is obviously required, because the secure transfer option enhances the security of your storage account by only allowing requests to the storage account by secure connection. So obviously it's going to use HTTPS instead of HTTP, and connection without encryption will fail, so the connection will be encrypted. This is by default available, so this comes with the package. We don't really have to mess with that, and never click disable. Obviously we need that. Exam question and in lab. Oh, okay, cool. Secure transfer required, so we get to it is basically actually enabled already. Now there is that access tier default, and we can go to the cool. If I click the cool, changing the access tier may result in additional charges. Click here to learn more. So definitely if you have infrequently used files more in this storage account, then you can make this one as a cool access tier, which means that the regular cost of keeping the data is lower than the hot access tier, but whenever you retrieve the files, then the cost is more than the hot access tier. So I'm just going to keep it, I'll keep it hot. So we already know about replication, that we can change the replication from LRS to RAGRS and GRS as well, though for now the service of GRS is not available for, I don't know why, but from Azure side it failed, and it was saying try again later with no specific time. Now our storage account does not really have large file share support there. The current combination of storage account kind, performance, replication, and location does not support large file shares. So that is obviously we don't need the large file share, but if you do need that, of course you have to just go for the requirements there. That suppose your company is a publishing company, it has Photoshop big files, AutoCAD big files. If it's a architect engineering company, so they would have huge one big file, 1 terabyte one file, or 500 GB only one single file. So in that case you would want to know that which exact account to create, which type of, obviously you need premium account and highly performing, especially with huge bandwidth. So if you go further down here, there's identity based directory service for Azure file authentication. So in that case we can connect it to our Azure Active Directory, and then permissions from our users can be given as well. And that is Azure Active Directory domain service, and this is Azure Active Directory domain service that you can create there yourself as well. We already added our domain from GoDaddy.com at the start. So if you want the users from Active Directory to be authenticated with the Active Directory and then access this storage account, then you can use this. Data lake storage generation, it's not even supported here right now with this region. You have to check that with the support, that which region it is supported, and then you can enable that. But if you want to run analytics on huge amount of data, for research or strategy purposes, next year strategy purpose, then you go for data lake storage. If you go to encryption here, so it's just asking on this page that do you want to save the encryption decryption key to by yourself with you, or do you want Microsoft Azure to actually store the encryption key or manage the encryption key themselves? So that is called Microsoft Managed Keys. So suppose you say no, I want the key and I will save it myself. So you can download the key, export the key from here and put it in your USB stick. Suppose you do lose that key, and suppose Microsoft also does not have that, because if they say that no, you got it, so now from now on you are responsible for that, and you encrypt the data and lose the key, so the data will stay encrypted forever, or you will have to hire very expensive services to decrypt your critical data. Normally when you do use your key, suppose you say that I want a copy of that key, encryption key for your encrypted data, so Microsoft do still have a copy of that, or at least the recovery solution for that, because encryption is used by Microsoft, so their encryption is there, so they normally have a recovery account for that too. Suppose you don't have that, or you forgot the password for that. So anyway, the best thing to do is that you can have Microsoft manage the keys, and for any very good reason, then you should have that done here. Otherwise, let Microsoft manage the encryption decryption keys for you. And then there is that shared access signature. I think there's a lab or plus question there in the exam for shared access signature. So what that means is that if suppose you want to give access to anyone, that anyone would connect from Storage Explorer or from any other third party. There's a third party application called Cloudberry, right? So if you go to cloudberry.com, this is also an explorer. Cloudberry. Simple English Wikipedia. Really? Are you kidding me? Yeah, Cloudberry. Oh, that was it. So, and then it is for backup, but it is for exploration or explorer as well. So, and it goes for Microsoft Azure, this Cloudberry. So suppose you're connecting from Cloudberry Explorer. They have Explorer, they have backup, they have managed backup and MSP 360 drive. So the thing is that if you use the Cloudberry Explorer, now you have to connect from this. So you will have so you can also come to shared access signature, where if somebody connects from Cloudberry Explorer to this account, or third party application to this account, maybe from Visual Studio, so in that case you can uncheck this, suppose, and you can uncheck that you cannot mess with the objects there, and you don't have write and delete permission. You can create and you can update and process and read, but not write and not delete, and then this restriction or whatever access you've given is available for the user from this date to this date. After that it will be expired, so user will have no access at all after that. And if you go down there to the public IP, then you can put the public IP of the branch as well. If you go to what is my IP, you can know that what is your public IP there. So you can put the public IP as well, that from this public IP the user can connect. Suppose it's a New York branch public IP, so user can connect from New York branch only. If the user is in Toronto branch, then user will not be able to connect. So this means that these restrictions are applied for suppose 1 year if the user is connecting only from New York branch there, and then the user can only use HTTPS and not HTTPS and HTTP, or HTTP option should not be there. So you can make it as restricted as possible. And then signing key, the user has to use either signing key 1 or signing key 2, and signing key is this. This is the signing key here, key 1 or key 2. So whatever key you have put there, the user has to use any one of those. So if I go to shared access signature, suppose as an example, I had unchecked write delete here, object here and blob. The user cannot use that, but user can use all others, and give a 1 year and from public IP and HTTPS and key 1. So what I do after that is generate SAS and connection string. Once I click that, So it creates that connection string that you can give to that user who is connecting to this storage account with the help of third-party application. So that third-party application, when trying to connect to the storage account, will have to put this connection string there, or SAS token, or file service, or queue service, or table, whichever application is type of application is. And obviously when they do connect from this connection string, they will have these kind of restrictions for this many time, and only from this public IP they can connect, and only HTTPS, and they have to use key 1 to actually enter, and then use this connection string with the combination of key and connection string, and obviously they will have these kind of restrictions implemented on them. So that is shared access signature here, where you can have all these restrictions implemented for any user who's connecting from any other app file. And now, so we talked about that shared access signature. Then we have the firewalls and virtual networks here. So when we connect to vNet, then we go for the firewalls and vNet at that time. But suppose you have your own private virtual network, so you can connect this storage account to that virtual network. So from within the virtual network, you will be able to save your files into this storage account. But we don't have any of the virtual network created there. After the storage account, obviously we're going to go for virtual networks there. And we'll try to configure that. Then there is private endpoint connection, and that is that if you want to connect, suppose I click the private endpoint here, then if you want to connect this storage account to, suppose, your a vNet that you've created there, or you want to connect it to a branch server, then you can connect that. So you must have a public IP of your branch server to connect this storage account So private endpoint just means that, hey, normally the private endpoint is that it will be accepting the private IP as well, which means within your vNet you can connect to any other machine this endpoint. So if I click close here, we don't have any private vNet there, so we cannot connect a private endpoint, but we understand that it can connect to any virtual machine within our vNet, or if we have done vNet peering, then that vNet as well. Now then there is advanced security, and that advanced security is there is, first of all, the security center here. Then there is storage advanced threat protection, and it says there enable advanced threat protection. So there are many ways that you can secure your storage account, but just to check that what is the enable advanced threat protection, let's click that. I'm going to click that, and it is enabled now. And what does it exactly do? So if I go to settings here to actually know what it really does, so it says here advanced security. If I click here, detects anomalous activities indicating unusual and potentially harmful attempts to access or exploit storage accounts. So this means that advanced security will check that if some hacker is trying to connect, guess the password, trying brute force or dictionary attack on your storage account, and any kind of other potentially harmful attempts, like uploading a exe file that is trying to execute and open the back door for the hacker to connect. So it will try to stop all the known methods of unauthorized access being done on this storage account. So this is a good protection against unauthorized access by hackers. Then there are a list of security accounts, security features there. If you go down to security incidents alerts, so that's obviously if security center uses advanced analytics and global threat intelligence to alert you to malicious activity. So no alerts to display. There are no recent connectivity. View all alerts in security center. If there are any alerts about that, then you will see that. And so these are just I just enabled that advanced threat protection, which just thwarts the hacker attacks there. Otherwise obviously this is something that I would just connect right away. And then there is that security center here to manage security across your virtual networks, data, apps, and more. So this is a separate security center that really helps us with, okay, it actually requires an extra login. So there is that policy and compliance here. There is regulatory compliance, subscription coverage. So this is an overall view, and then there is resource security hygiene. If we go down, threat protection is there, so which we just enabled. So but the security center has all these security features that we will be checking separately as well when we come down to security. But you can enable that for your folder, for your network, and data, obviously. So I'm just going to go back here just to show you the security, and that I had enabled that advanced threat protection for this particular folder. Then there is that static website here, and static website, obviously you cannot have a dynamic website created there, which means that it's not going to be connecting to any Java environment or backend servers with databases, and it's not going to be fetching data from the backend servers. So if we click the static website here, then I'm just going to click enable that. Once I click enable, so it says that, oh, you have a index document name here. So if I click that, say that yes, I have an index.html file, and I'll separately have to upload that, obviously, in a container. But I'm telling that, hey, whenever I want to run this index.html file, if you name this file, then it will run it as with HTML code. It will become a web browser for that file, a web server for that file. So if you have an error document here, this is for that. Suppose your index.html file does not open. So in that case, you may want to create a error.html file as well and upload it. So error.html file should be if the index.html files for some reason does not open, then error.html will automatically open, and on that you can just type that oh, if you have come to this page, this means your first page index.html did not open, so contact administrator, and here is the email address of the administrator. So you can put that on the error page. We don't have to really create that, but index.html is there. So I'm just going to save that now, and then I'm going to upload the index.html to check that and to show that it's working or not. So I have saved it, and it says it's successfully configured. So now this is the web page here, but it says that an Azure storage container has been created to host your static website. So there is a container here called $web. Inside that, I need to upload the index.html file. So if I go to the containers area in the blob service, so yes, there's a $web created there. If I click that $web, there is nothing inside because I did not upload anything inside. So if I just quickly upload index.html file, then obviously it's going to open it as a web server. So let's just check that out, that if we can actually do that. So if I go to my folder structure, a billion folder, and I'm gonna create an index.html file, and then actually upload that file as well. So if there is that index.html file, actually that's that's easily available in my other course as well, and that is for storage. And then there is static website. So this is the same feature in actually Azure AWS as well. So first I will show you that how does it look like if I just open that in a local browser in Google Chrome. So it should look like this. This is samosa 1, samosa 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, obviously we all love samosas here. So it will look like this, but I opened it in a local server. So if I want to open it from within that browser, so I'm just gonna copy this path. I want to upload this index.html, which already has the so what kind of code it has. If I just go to the text file here, it has Seriously. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, I'll just open that HTML in open with text. So it has this code here, h1 heading 1 slash h1 h2 slash h2 h3 slash h3 and so on, and that just shows how the file size go from 6 to 1. And in fact I can just take it to even, so here h5, oh seriously, I have to change that to 6 to 7 7 7 8. Oh, what did I do? That's not fair. Okay, why did I have to do that? So just creating a page bigger, other than that nothing else. It's just HTML code right now. I hope it supports 10 size as well. So save, and then this is the file. I'll just upload that, and if I go back there and I'll click the upload button here, then I'll click the file browser, and then I'll go to index.html and then upload. So this file is uploaded, which is index.html, and once it is uploaded there, I'll click refresh and it is okay, right? So index.html here. Now I want to open this file as if I would want to open it in the browser from a hosting package. So this is the hosting machine already. This is a web server right now. Well, is it? So that's what we're going to check now. So if I just go there and try to grab that link, so there's a view edit, download properties, generate SAS, view snapshot, change tier, acquire, download. So there is that acquire release here. So if I just click the file itself, it is showing that. Now this is the URL that is showing here, and if I copy that, so you can see that it is already hosted on my Azure account, and the whole path is showing there. But will it open? So if I just open that HTML, so it says there is the specified resource does not exist, or resource not found. So what's the path here? It is giving this path. This is not the proper URL, because the dollar web sign, which is supposed to be dollar or hidden, is still showing there. So if I just go back here, so now I'm just going to close this and check out that where is the actual URL. And normally it is not supposed to give this icon, because HTML, and I put it in the container, $web container here. So access policy, if I go to access policy, that it is maybe not allowing the access. So if I add the access policy identifier, some permissions, read permission, and read and list, and yes, there's no expiry date, so that is test. So there is access, and I'm just putting that policy there for storage access policies, immutable block storage. So yeah, we don't really have to. Okay, I'm just going to click save here, but we're not accessing that. We're just opening it right now. I'm just going to go inside here, and access policies was here as well. Metadata is here. Now if I just click that, hey, so properties. When I go to properties, this is the URL, and it should let us just open that file, copy to clipboard. It has the same $web, right? The XML does not. Okay, now what is wrong with that? Am I doing some mistake here? Acquire lease, so index.html, snapshot, edit. Yeah. Oh, the HTML is okay. And second thing is, let me just remove that. Let me make it fix. Although it should not. And preview. Yeah, it should work like that. Okay. Save and refresh. So first question is though it works from my PC. Yeah, it works from my PC, so no, that is okay. So purpose of static website and storage account is just that to open it. Like if you want to have introduction page for your company, you can have that, or suppose introduction page just for your department. You can have that too. So static website, well, it has a purpose there, and in AWS it just works like a wonder here. So yes, even when we go for this, it just shows that right away. If I click the add HTML, yeah, it accepts the whole thing. If I go for preview here, yep, it's okay. Saving. Generate SAS, but I don't need any overview. HTTPS. Why not create? I think so. Last year it was working fine. Last course it was working fine. This is the same way we do that. Okay. So that's kind of a very simple task that is actually not working. So if I go to properties, yeah, that's the URL. Is there any other URL? No. Metadata. Although we just really don't have to spend a lot of time on that, but it was working always fine unless so I did create that. If I go to containers here, and if I go for static website here, and it is enabled, and index.html. So this is the name of the blah 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 blah. Yeah. What else? Oh. Webpage that Azure Storage returns when a request is made to the root. And oh, okay. Well, this is the URL there, and I'm just gonna put that URL instead of the file directly. Seriously, what's wrong with me? It should just open that first file, right? Ah, there you go. What is wrong with me? No. Stinder, it was just that I was putting a wrong URL. I was just putting the URL of the file. Now we're not supposed to have the $web here, but this is the actual path. This is just like C drive backslash and then so we're not supposed to have the actual path. We should have the first page of the website, and the first of the website is this. So, and then there's a secondary page as well. So yes, this link just should work straightforward. And if I just put it there, yes, it works. Yeah, I was just putting the wrong link. Yikes, sorry about that. So it's not supposed to be containers and then this. We're not supposed to go inside and use the URL. This is just to access the file for administrators. But we should be going for the actual static website, and it has provided that URL for us. That's the first page, and yes, it should never show the path where the actual file is and the folder path. Okay, so we get that. It works fine, and so yeah, it works fine. Yeah, we're good, right? And it is this path. It's not supposed to show the $web anyway. So we get that, and this was the wrong path here because that's for administration purpose. And if you go here, it doesn't even show the index.html file, which file got loaded. So this is what web server does. It does not show the actual file. Normally, if you want it to show, yes, it can show. Okay, so it was the URL in the static website, not inside that. Okay, so we get that the static. Now if you uploaded like hundreds of files there, so first page is about introduction to company, second page would be about detailed products, third page help page, fourth page contact us, like that. So you can upload the full working website there. Okay, if we go to properties here, that is going to show all the properties of the storage account here. If we click that, now here, this is the properties, and yes, resource group is this. Its performance access tier is standard hot. Replication is RAGRS. So what we configured is showing there already, and then it is giving those service links for blob service, file service, queue service, table service, data lake storage, and static website as well, because we just created the configured the static website. Before, this link was not showing there, so static website, now it is showing. So other services, whoever wants to connect from whichever a third-party application, these links can be given to that person. So if we go to lock here, now lock, the purpose of lock was to make this storage account either read only, or we cannot delete this storage account after that. So if I click the add button here and click the lock name, so don't delete, suppose we put that. So, and then we select the delete button. Lock type is delete. So now we won't be able to delete the storage account. So I'm just going to press OK. And this is how we create a lock there. And if we want to get rid of it, obviously delete the lock after that, and select that, or go inside the lock. Well, then there's an edit button here as well. If you click the edit button, it still does not let me do that. If I can refresh, so scope and don't delete. Really? Are you kidding me? I'm gonna go to properties, and then I'm gonna go back to locks, and delete. Lock type is delete. So how do we get rid of that? Is there an option? Oh, seriously, see this? There's a, it was hidden here because of the scroll bar. Serious. Okay, there was a delete button. But if I just delete it from the that resource group, that's what I want to do. So it won't let me delete the that storage account. It will be so that then I have to come back, delete this, and then the storage account will be deleted. So that's a very good protection for the whole storage account. And then if we click the export template here, whatever selection we did up there, it has created a template out of that, and scripts out of that, where you can run the scripts. And in the exam that you've given, you already done that. You've ran some scripts. This is pretty it's a PowerShell script, and kind of more complicated to run. But yes, this is something that we can just save somewhere and run it again in the file after saving it in the notepad. Now there is that blob service here, and if we go to containers, so the two containers that we have already created here, and then if I just go for clicking a container plus here, so I'll just go for, suppose, marketing container. So that's how we create a container to upload a file, and it cannot be caps lock here. Also, there is that private no anonymous access, and then blob anonymous read access for blobs only, or binary large objects there, and container anonymous read access for containers and blobs. So you're giving anonymous but read access for public, that anyone can connect to this container if they have the link there. So I'm just going to keep it private, but we can make it public as well. And I'm gonna press OK. So not much there other than when you create a container, but when I go inside the container here, so there are some extra features there. Upload a file, change access level. There is that access level that we were talking about, that we can change anytime. We can make it public. And access key authentication method is access key right now, which means that you have to use the key 1 or key 2 access, or you can switch to Azure AD user account. So any Azure user who has been created in Azure Active Directory can also connect to this account if you switch to that. So if I click that, so switch to Azure AD account, so it says you do not have permissions to list the data using your user account with Azure AD. Click to learn more about authenticating with your Azure AD. So it says that for now your Azure AD is not allowed to give you account. So use the Azure portal to access blob or queue data, permissions needed to access blob or queue data, and then there is account access key, and then there is Azure account to access blob or queue data from the Azure portal using your Azure AD account. Both of the following statements must be true for you. First is you have been assigned the Azure Resource Manager reader role. So Azure Resource Manager reader role at a minimum, scoped to the level of the storage account or higher. The reader role grants the most restricted permissions, but another Azure Resource Manager role that grants access to storage account management resources is also acceptable. So first of all, if your account, your root account is a member of Azure Access Manager, you can just give full access to the Azure Access Manager. I mean, you can use your root account or add your root account there. Second is you have been assigned either a built-in or custom role that provides access to blob or data. So if these two are true, then only you can give yourself. Then you can add user accounts there or Active Directory user accounts. Right now, if you want to connect, you can connect with access key. And they have given the screenshots there as well that this is switched to AD user account and you do not permission. We got this error. So the thing is that if you are authenticating, it is saying that put it on the right account there with admin role. So if I go to Resource Manager admin role and put suppose I go to Azure Administrator admin role here. I want to give Alan Reed an access. So I'll open another duplicate tab here and give permission to myself. Oh, sorry, is it gonna ask approval for my cell phone? No. So suppose you want to give Active Directory user access to the Azure to the blob. So you can go to actually Azure Active Directory here. And then there is roles and administrators here. And then there is a resource manager role. So it was saying resource manager role, right? So if I just type here resource, is there any role that has the, so Azure, well, pretty much all are Azure. There is no resource manager, but yeah, we created the global administrator that can do everything, so that's why. But that was the minimum amount of role that they were saying. And if I go back there, so it was saying that you have to add the account to the Azure Resource Manager reader role, but there was nothing called resources. You have been assigned the Azure Resource Manager. So that's for the user accounts there, and that is strange. So I'm just gonna click to switch access key here, and if I go to access control IAM here, identity and access management, so the role assignments are here as well, right? So if I go to role assignments instead of Azure Active Directory, if I go to role assignments here, and there, if I go to roles, so and if we type here resource, so resource policy contributor is there, but resource manager is not there. So Azure, there is nothing but resource. So what it says there, now I just went for the Azure separate roles and policies there, role assignments. If I click the role assignments, that's it. And you can see access administrator, scope is, and group by role. So type all, nothing. So we just wanted to check that where is this option, but obviously we have to just go a little more in depth. Then there is access policy. We can just give who can access on what level and who cannot. Then there's properties here, and obviously that's the properties of the sales department and the e tag there. Lease status is unlocked. Lease state is available. So just all the common information about the container, nothing much here. So if I just go back to the containers area, then there is custom domain. Custom domain is, suppose you want to give yourname.com and then it should come and connect to this storage account. So that can be achieved by purchasing the domain name from some registrar and then redirecting that domain to this folder. So obviously, and they're saying that create a CNAME record with your DNS provider that points from your domain to your full this link here. So if you purchase a domain from GoDaddy.com, then you can just put this link as a redirector or create a CNAME record, and then when somebody types the domain name, he or she will be directed to your storage account here. So that's pretty important for anyone who wants to launch a company-based file services with some restrictions over the internet. Soft delete, if we go there, that's the same thing that we talked about already. If I enable that, it goes up to 365 days, and if you want to have retention period, indicates the amount of time that soft deleted data is stored and available for recovery. You can retain soft deleted data for between 1 and 365 days. So we understand that already, that we can just, and then Azure CDN. So the concept of Azure CDN is that first of all, it is content delivery network, and second thing is that I'll just go for a diagram because it's really easy to then explain with the diagram. Now what happens is that if the company has actually decided to share our data, right? So if I go ahead and make yeah, so suppose this is East US, this one, East US region, and yours sharing a data from there. Now that data is being shared to Europe region, EU, or it is being shared to Asia region. So what happens is that first user in the Europe region, he or she clicks that. Suppose you put a URL there, that and that URL is HTTPS, and then there is some file that you're sharing there, right? Your file, and there's a file link there, right? So you send that file link to this user. Now your file is placed in the East US storage account there. Now the user in EU, he clicks that link here, and what happens is that CDN, through CDN, if you've shared that, so first it checks that if the file is available to their nearest edge servers. Now what are edge servers or POP servers or point of presence servers? Edge servers are cache servers. So edge servers cache the files, locally, right? For 24 hours. And what happens is that if you have here, edge servers are pretty much in every region, and they're nearest to all the business hubs, which their only job is to save file locally for the nearest users to download them easily and fast. So what happens is in East US, a company shared a file, and the clients in the European region, one of them clicked the file. So first it is checked that is that file available in the nearest cache servers here. When it sees that, CDN sees that no, the file is not there, so CDN connects to that file, downloads that file to the client's nearest cache servers, and then the client downloads that file. Then the second client, this is Alice, then suppose Bob from the same EU region also tries to access that same file. Bob clicks the same HTTPS link, but this time because it is already saved in the edge servers because of the first user, so Bob would access it directly from edge server. Then again, third user comes, then fourth user clicks that, fifth user clicks that, sixth user clicks that. File will always be downloaded very fast. Only for the first user it will be slow. For all other users it will be really fast, right? So this is what how CDN really works. So it just downloads a file to the edge servers, or which are POP point of presence servers, or which are nearest cache servers, which just locally save files for the users to download in large number. So same with Asia, that if you have the first user has clicked that HTTPS, the file was not there to their nearest edge servers or POP servers. So the file was retrieved, downloaded to the nearest edge server for the first user, and then when the second user, so first user it was delayed, second user it was really fast because the file was already there, and the third user. Now suppose one more thing about CDN is that suppose for 24 hours the users none of the users clicked that link. For 24 hours none of the users clicked that link. So what happens is the file is then deleted. Now after 48 hours, suppose a user click that link again. Now the file, since it is not there, it will again be downloaded for that user, and within 24 hours if somebody clicks it, the file will remain here in that servers. If 24 hours have passed and nobody clicked it, so the file will be deleted again. So for it to be continuously present here, maybe for months, the user within 24 hours has to click it. That's what that's how it really works. So that is CDN, which is Content Delivery Network, and it just saves data to your nearest cache servers, and so all the users can download from that easily when they want. So that is CDN, right? If we go back there, so there is endpoints, and then it says migrate custom domains to CDN. If you have custom domains there, otherwise normally it shares data, and you can see that there's Azure Edge.net is actually written there. The word edge just means that it is actually a CDN network to which you're connected. So, and those are the cache servers, and they are pretty much across the globe, near every region of Azure, and near every big business hub there across the planet. If you go for add Azure search here, so there is obviously you have to select a search service, you have to purchase a search service. So in order to make your search across, suppose you have petabytes of files, millions of files in this storage account, and users are actually accessing those files every day, and they are making a lot of search because there are millions of files. They are putting search there, and sometimes user says that, hey, our search result does not actually put that search that file successfully, or the search result is not on the first page, or if at all it does not search that, while they are sure that the files are there, and they're sure that the search name, search keywords that they put there, that is exactly the words that are there in the file. So you want to really refine the search, you want to advance want to configure the search. So you can attach a search service to this storage folder there, and then it can really so if we click select search, select an existing search service from the list, or click here to create a new one. So create a new one just means that if I click that, so it's actually taking us to Azure search, right? And then it's saying that, hey, you have to purchase that service, and it actually tells that 25 GB per partition, maximum 12 replicas, maximum 12 partitions, maximum 36 search units. So it is giving a big storage area, and within that it's creating partitions there, but it's a professional search service that would let you really refine the search in such a way that when the user puts that, so they will be able to success, just like Google searches and gets to the point very quickly. So you can just actually make that search work like that. So and there's a change pricing tier here. So obviously when you put a refined or advanced search service, they will charge you. But with search, obviously the purpose is that it will be a very critical tool for millions of files. Among those, if you want to search your files properly and fast, then you can use this. Now if we go for lifecycle management here, so it is Okay, SharePoint is integrated to Azure portal. Now, SharePoint can be integrated with Azure portal if you talk to the support, because Office 365 can easily be integrated to Azure cloud. Right now what happens is, suppose you have Office 365 account and you log in from, and you use the Office 365 account to log in from Azure, they will actually block your Azure account because you're going against the policy. So Office 365 account or user should not be used unless you want to talk to the support and then pay them some charges and ask them, hey, our company has Office 365 as well as Azure, so can you please connect them both? And the company, if that connects, yes, then Azure has full access to Office 365. You just have to pay a little more for to attach. SharePoint is inside Office 365. Exchange server is in Office 365, and then Teams, which is doing meetings and conferences, is in Office 365. Yes, there's a separate course for Office 365. I have been teaching that Office 365 course in other college as well. I'm intending to introduce that as a 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 course where Office 365 plus, some other demanding course. I'll put that in one course. Anyway, so here, what we are trying to say here is, now there's a lifecycle management here, and in lifecycle management there is that add rule here. So lifecycle management offers a rich rule-based policy for general purpose v2 and blob storage accounts. Use the policy to transition your data to the appropriate access tiers or expire at the end of the data's life cycle. So what it means in English is, let's just try to check that. Let's click the add rule in lifecycle management. Then we can just create a test policy, test, and the field contain only letters and numbers and must be between, and cannot be caps, I think. Okay, so test. And what happens is, so the logic of this is that move blob to cool storage. So once you click that, days after last modification. So suppose now the whole purpose of life cycle management is that if you have some files that are being frequently used, so keep using them in the hot tier, right? And if the files, normally what happens is that when the file is newly uploaded, everyone is using that. So after 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, the file is not used a lot. So why should you pay for keeping the file there that is not being used with the charges that hot tier is being charged with? So why don't you just move it to the cool tier, and after that, why don't you just move it to the archive for long-term storage there, right? So what happens here is, lifecycle management is all about that if the file is not being used, automatically move it to the cool tier after suppose 2 months or 1 month, and exactly vice versa as well. So, and also if it is not being used for a long time in cool store tier as well, then you can move it to archive as well. So this means that move blob to cool storage after how many days when the file is not being used, or when the file was last modified and it's been 2 months that nobody modified that file. So you can just put that date here. Then it moves to the archive storage and says how many days. Then the blob is fully deleted after how many years. So that's how the data lifecycle can go, and you don't have to really pay for those files that are not being used at all, right? So this is the main idea behind that. So let's, if you want to configure that, there's that days after last. Suppose you put there 30 days or maybe 60 days. After 60 days of using in the cool tier, now all the files will be moved automatically to the blob cool storage. Now then you say that now in cool storage, yes, I'm paying that, and the file is actually not being used for so long time. So after days after last modification, so you can say that in the cool storage, if for 1 year 365 days nobody uses that file, then move blob to archive storage in that case, right? So 60 days in cool storage, nobody access that, so move it. So 60 days in hot storage, hot tier, nobody access that file, change anything in that file, so move it to cool storage in 60 days, and then move it to archive storage if for 1 year nobody accessed it in the cool storage. So you can just change that time according to what you know there and what approval you got, because you do have to pay for those files for 1 year. So then delete blob is after, suppose you can just go for now days after last modification. So suppose you go for 2555. Now these are 7 years. So after 7 year, you can just move. So this is a law that the company must have 7 years old. 7 years of users communication, emails and messages for 7 years. That should be there kept, because if the government asks that they want to investigate one of their employees, and they want their investigation, they want their data from last 6 years, and if the company says no, we don't have it, so government can really heavily fine you. So that's why it's the law to actually keep the data for last 7 years of your company's employees, all conversations. And then if you have taken the if you've been taking the snapshots of that, so when do you want to delete that, so you can just put it also 255. So after 7 years, delete the snapshot as well, or every year you can just delete the snapshot and create a new one. It's up to you. But this is the data lifecycle management, and that is that you keep on moving the infrequently used data from expensive storage to cheaper storage, right? And then ultimately delete it. And CRA can audit, well, no, if in case, yes, whenever they really need a data, the law is 7 years. So if they suppose don't need it, never need it, so no. So they normally don't regularly audit everyone, but when they do need, in terms of investigation going on, suppose there were some companies who got bankrupted, and there was full investigation going on. So now for 50 years, government never cared about, hey, what data, which data. But now when they started investigation against a company, and they would ask then, okay, by law you're supposed to have this guy's CEO's conversation for last 7 years. Do you have that? And answer no would be a very very costly answer. So definitely you've broken the law in that case, big trouble. So whatever measurements are there, and definitely if we delete the emails, that's again another crime. If actually those were deleted, so that's actually a crime, right? Now, well, we get that blobs. The lifecycle management is keeping the infrequently used data to the cheaper storage, and keep moving it and delete it after 7 years. So then I'll just go for next filter set here, and suppose you don't want some container or its folder to be deleted or to be applied with those policies, then in that case you can mention that container. So this means that um, you do not have to apply those policies on that container, and it can be applied on all other policies, on all other folders and containers. So if there is a container that you want to exclude, so then we go for review plus add, and then we click the add button. So the lifecycle management gets configured like that. Now that is and then comes the file shares in the storage area. And when it comes to file share, normally what happens is that you can, and obviously this is a lab in exam as well, where you have a file share there that you want to share with the virtual machines of the vNet, or virtual machines that are on Azure. You can just run that file there, the script there. So I'm just going to click the file share here now, and suppose the name we can give company, oh, should not be caps, company file shares, company file share. And then if you want to give a quota of okay 5 GB or 5, that's it. GB is already written there, and click create. So file share is created there. And if I go inside the file share, so now there is that connect written there. There's a backup preview is not enabled for this file share. Click here to enable backup, but it is in preview or it is in test. There's a view snapshot, there's a create snapshot, there's a quota, there's a delete share, there's an add directory. You want to add further folders there and upload some files here, and then there's a connect here. So what is a connect anyway? So if we click that connect here, so now it says secure transfer required is enabled on the storage account. SMB clients must support 3.0 encryption to connect. Click here to learn more about connecting Azure files. So now it says first of all that it is required to connect with HTTPS first of all, and second thing is so it is secure. And second thing is that you can create a Z drive or a mapped network drive on your virtual machine within the vNet here. So there's that PowerShell command let there, full command that will create that folder there, and you can run first command, then you can run the second command there, or you can just go for alternatively the command prompt. So first the command cmd key and then the net use. So I'm gonna just try to actually do that now, and I'll just go for quickly create a virtual machine 2016, and I'll try to go for the Azure files there, and I'll go for virtual machine, click the add button there. I'll create a quick virtual machine now because we've gone through that already, how to create a virtual machine. I'll select the today's resource group there. Virtual machine name, so it is your first name dash VM01, and I'll have to create it in the same region where my storage account is. Well, I don't really have to go for infrastructure redundancy. I'm not testing redundancy. I don't need redundancy right now. 2016 or 2019, I'll just go for 2019 here, and then because I just need to check Azure files there, so your first name admin, and then go for small ABC capital ABC shift 123 simple 123, and small ABC capital ABC shift 123 simple 123, and then I'll just go down to yes. I just need RDP. Actually, I need just RDP or SMB. I think RDP is enough. Are there any ports? Port 445. The test connection, and this means I need a. Yeah, but just port 445. So port 445 is for SMB. Yeah, SMB or IP. So port is a traditional Microsoft networking port with tie-ins to the original NetBIOS. So now, if I'm just not going to create that port 445 or add that in the firewall, just to check that if I am unable to connect to that, then I'm just going to add that port as well in the firewall. So right now it is just RDP, and that's it. So next disks, I don't need an extra disk, so it's okay. I'm not doing anything here. Networking. I'm connected to the vNet. Default vNet is good, and I don't really have to go for. I'll keep it basic and RDP. And then accelerating network. I don't need a fast network. I'm not doing load balancing management. I also do not need boot diagnostics. I'll turn it off. Advanced. Not deploying any extensions. Tags. Not writing anything here. Review plus create, and I'm just creating a virtual machine. I'm just gonna log into that. Why? Because I need to map that Azure files from the storage account to inside that virtual machine. And that was also one of the labs there. So now it's going to create that. That is so good. So now it's creating that virtual machine here. I just want to check that these commands do work with that virtual machine or not. So the virtual machine is being created. Once it is created, I'm going to connect to that, and then I'll create that Azure files. I'm going to map them there. Get created as G, given an IP, attach it to vNet. Wow, it's taking forever to create that virtual machine. And so for the PowerShell commandlet, I'll be opening the PowerShell with admin privileges inside that machine whenever it gets created. So if I just go there, deployment in progress. Alright, complete. Okay, so I'll just go to the resource, go to the virtual machine there because I need to map that Azure file there. And then I'll click the connect button here and download RDP file. Maybe it's still under construction right now. It's still getting created. So and I'm connecting that and go for your first name admin and the password and yes. So now it's gonna just start. It's gonna take its time to start. So when it will be done, then I will just go for I just need to open the PowerShell here and right click here and go for, if it accepts my right click, more, and run as administrator. Now the PowerShell here opens. You can grab the PowerShell here and put the machine here and go to that command here. So then I'll just try to put that machine here and just close this. So there's that the PowerShell here. Now there's that testnet connection. Computer name is this, and save the password so the drive will persist on reboot. Invoke. So there is that command for that. So I'm just going to copy the whole thing first of all, copy to clipboard, and then put it on. In fact, I'll just go to this machine. I've copied from there. I'll open a notepad here in this virtual machine that I created, and there's that full command showing there. And then what is happening is that save the password to the test connection minus computer name and port 45, so 445. I'm just gonna put the test connection command first, and that's going to obviously what it says is going to test connection, and this is testing connection to the storage account right now that is created within Azure, and that it is saying that it is successful. So then the second thing is, it says that save the password so the drive will persist on reboot. So first of all, I check that this machine can communicate successfully with this storage account here. Now second thing is that I want to so second thing is I'll go for invoke, and I'll put that whole password username password here for that account. So this machine could be securely connected to that, and press enter. So it says that credential added successfully. Even if the machine reboots now, it has put that in the registry of this machine that this machine should stay connected to that account. And then if I go next further here, so there is that new drive, and right click and copy, and then so this is the third command let that I put there, and it says that the Z drive is created here, and it has been successfully created, but has it? So I'm just going to go to the yellow folder here and check that in this PC, and well, actually it's not. I'll click refresh, and sometimes yes, it does not actually really work. While it says C drive, it is there, but it actually does not show up there. So maybe after some time, normally then I have to just run that command from the so if I just go for that cmd as well, and open cmd and run actually the other one. So I right click here, go to right click command, run as administrator here, and so this is the administrator one. Then I just go down to the second one and copy that, and put that, then I go back to the machine here and I go to notepad. So above one was in PowerShell, below one is in command prompt itself, right? So cmd key here, and that really is that key again, cmd key, right? And then I have to put that key first in the command prompt and enter. So credential added successfully again from the command prompt. And the other one is do you want a persistent Azure drive by creating using a DOS command net use, and then press yes. So the command completed successfully, it says that too. And if I try to check that now, it is there. Yay! Okay, so the Azure file has been shared here. So if I double click that and go inside there and new folder, and it's blah blah blah, so maybe that folder shows up there as well. And if I refresh there, so there's that blah blah blah, yay. And then we can just check that if it is two-way. So I can go for testing blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah. So that's testing blah blah. And then here we go. Yes, it is. So it's two-way. You can save from here to there, and you can save from there to here. So that's pretty good. Azure files work fine with actually the command prompt, but with PowerShell, it didn't give that result. So that was Azure files there. And I'm just going to go back to the file shares here. We tested successfully that the file share works fine. Then we go to tables here, and table is just NoSQL, where it does not go for relational databases there, RDBs, and it just goes for um, one big table that gets created there, and it is attached to all the games or IoT devices, and there you can just try to connect with that. So it just scales fast, it grows big, it can have millions of records there, and it will not go down. So security, scalability, and fast access are the things that it does. Okay, so with table, if I click the table here, so it says that, but normally it goes for that you have to. So if I just put test here for the table and press OK, it does create. Okay, it's successful. But you just have to make sure that this table is connected to some kind of application in the background, so that application could start putting inside all its data. Now also the checkout premium table experience with Azure Cosmos DB. So this Azure Cosmos DB is they say that this is where you can go for NoSQL database, where it would just grow fast, can take millions of entries there, and scale really good. So, but you have to then purchase that service, Cosmos DB there, which is that if you purchase that, then you can use the table server feature there in the storage access. So if we go down to this, we were talking about then table, then it is queues, and in queues, what you see there is it will be, you don't have any queues yet, but queues are, if I just explain the concept here, suppose you have applications here. So there's that application, and that application is application. Now that application has, suppose it's a file upload or picture upload, photo application. So the photo application will have one component here. So that component would suppose be that component number one would be that upload file. So this component will just upload file, right? And the second component might be that so component 2 would be optimize photo, optimize photo. so that is the second component of the same application. Now what happens is, and then finally upload the photo component 3, component 4 of an application. So what happens is, suppose it's a photo application. So in queues, what happens is that if somebody uploads, suppose there's a one photo uploaded here, so that component is successful in doing its job, which is to help get the photo uploaded. But then it sends a message to the component to, hey, component 2, I have actually done the upload. So I'm sending you a message that from my side the picture is uploaded. Now can I send you that picture so you could actually optimize it for the web? So the component 2 says, no, I'm already optimizing one picture, so can you hold? And then after it is done with the picture and it is optimized for the web, then it says, okay, then it sends a message back to the component 1 of the same application that yes, optimized, now you can send that uploaded photo so I could optimize this one as well, right? So now the second photo is uploaded, and again it says that component 1, hey, I uploaded my task, so can you just get the second photo as well? Component 2 says yes, send the message back that yes, you can just send that photo. Then the third photo, then for suppose there are thousands of photos there, right? And thousands per hour photos are being uploaded. Now that's a huge amount of messaging that is going on between component 1, component 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for a big application. So in that case, the messages that are being exchanged could also drop, could also not reach, could not be organized. So sometimes the photo upload gives an error that okay, the next component rejected that because of the two components talking to each other, that data was not successful, or the message was not successfully sent there. So what happens is, you can grab that queues, you can purchase that queues service, and then what will happen is that you will integrate it as a web developer to that photo application. What will happen is now that one component sends a message, and that is in thousands of messages, so the queue service will actually organize in an organized way, send all the messages, and in an organized way component 2 will send back and correspond, yes, you can send me now, and they will do their job this way. So this could be between within one application, multiple components, and between applications as well. The queues service can actually let the applications talk to each other by sending millions of messages in a large organization, and those messages will be queued and organized, and queues service will make sure that those messages really reach on time and in an organized fashion from one component to another component within an application and between application components as well. So this is queues service which web developers need to purchase and attach it to their application, so the queuing or sending and receiving files or messages actually between the components could be successful. So that is queue service. So I'm just gonna close that, and so that is queue service. Then we go down to insights, and insight is this is still in a preview mode. So what goes on here is that obviously whatever transactions are going on, whatever transactions by storage type are going on, whatever files are being, so is it available, what is the high availability, what is the capacity right now, how many files are there, how much space is left right now. So it goes down to success latency, end-to-end and server, ingress, incoming traffic, and there is no egress there, but ingress is there, which is incoming traffic or files being put there. So then there's alerts. When you go to the alerts here, you can create alerts as well. So pay attention to what matters. You have not configured any alert rule. So if I go to the new alert rule here, then I can select from here that what kind of alert or resource, what kind of resource I want the alert created for. And yes, it is this storage account resource for which I want to create alert. I'm just going to click the done button here. After selecting that, it is the storage alert. Then it is condition. I'm just going to go to add here and go for the condition. So transactions, what kind of signal logic you want, which just means that 18 signals out of 18 signals. So what do you want to check and what metrics you want to load there? So we can just go for used capacity here, and I'm just gonna click that used capacity, and I'm gonna click done. So how much of the storage account has been used till now? It is just for that. And then I think it is also asking for, oh, then we go down here as well. So first is use capacity, then if I go down to alert logic, it is static or it is dynamic. Then if I go there, operator is greater than. So greater than, or you want greater than or equal to. So when do you want to be alerted? So, and then threshold value. So it asks for what should be the threshold value. If you go up there, and you can actually put that threshold value to, suppose, if you go up here, 100 bytes, so 100 B is written there, right? So I can just go down here and type here 100 and click that. So as soon as I type 100 here, now it has put a line here. If ever we keep on putting the data and it reaches this threshold and it breaches that threshold, so then I will be alerted about that. So that's very cool. And condition preview, whenever the used capacity is greater than 100 bytes, yes. So, and then aggregation granularity period, 1 hour or every minute. So frequency of evaluation, every minute is going to evaluate that. So that's pretty cool. If I click the done here, now it is done. So, and add actions, suppose it reaches that 100 bytes there. So what actions you want performed? So I'm going to click that add as well. Oh, actually that's the same thing. If I go down here, actions, so then there is a select action group or create action group. Action rules preview allows you to define actions at scale as well as suppress actions. So if we go for select action group here, and then so we in the action group, we don't have any action group. Select an action group to attach to this alert rule formatting. And so we haven't created any action group, so I'm just going to go ahead and create that. So create action group here. So here, action group name, suppose it is IT dash team, right? And I'll just control A, control C, short name as well, IT team, pay as you go. Resource group is this, activity log alerts to be created, and then action name, you can just put that alert on used capacity, and action type Azure function, email, Azure Resource Manager role, or email, SMS, push, or voice. So I just want it to be emailed, so I'll just put that. Now who to email, I'm just going to click that and put there suppose my email idguyme at gmail.com. Now once I put that, or SMS carrier charges will apply, it will SMS as well, or Azure push notification, it can also voice, and that is also, it can just send you a voice message phone number. Enable the common alert schema, we don't have to really enable that, but press OK and you will get the email is now there. So with action group, it is just whose email should be used here. And then if you go down to alert details, alert rule is that so now we don't have to select the action group, so it is created now. So I can just go for select action group here and IT team, and I'll select that. And if we go further down here, alert rule name, so it will be alert on disk capacity. And then severity level, I'll just suppose it is severity 3. Enable rule, yes, I want to, and then create rule alert. So now that's how a rule is created, by selecting the resource and then what kind of alert you want about what, and then the what action, so who do you want to email it to. So that's what we configured here. and that rule is created or not. Yep, it is created. It's just not showing. I'm going to refresh that, and there's that rule there. I'll close that. And then there is alerts. Then there are metrics here. Actually, metrics, the not the classic one, the new one. So yes, these are the metrics and new chart. Do you want to see the chart there? And how do you want to see the chart? Apply filters and splits to identify outlying segments. Plot multiple metrics. Build custom dashboards. So if you go for custom dashboards here, oops, I think it's going for, okay, I didn't want that. So yes, we can do all that, but I'm just going to go for a new chart here. So that is metrics. And then it's asked that, hey, what do you want? Availability, ingress, or ingress is how much traffic is coming inside. So I'll go for ingress there. And then first is new chart, and I select that. What is the account? And it is the account, full account level. And then ingress traffic, and aggregation is sum or average or minimum or maximum. So maximum or minimum traffic, how much is coming. And for this storage account, then I'll click add metric, and that is again use capacity is one, egress or how much traffic went out, or transactions, how much input output is there. So I added a second metric here, and then if I click the add metric again, then again we can availability, is that really available? The third metric has been added here as well. So ingress metric, transaction metric, and then availability metric. Three metrics have been added there. If there's a lot of activity going on, it will show you how the scale is and how does it go ahead right now. So there's a line chart here. If we go for and then there is a scatter chart. If we go for scatter chart, so it's just showing you bubbles here for the activity. Or area chart, it's showing you the area. I just going to save information. Or grid chart, and it is the grid. So the way you want to put the chart, and I'm just back to the line chart here. And yeah, so that's metrics. And advisor recommendations is exactly that. You can have an recommendations done by Azure, right? So you are following all of our recommendations for the selected subscriptions and resources. See list of all recommendations. If I click that, so it just goes for another page and show that, hey, we could advise you for what you're doing there. And if you otherwise they did not give me any advice recommendation because we are following all the best practices already. We're actually not doing anything. So guys, this is the whole storage storage account related stuff. So I'm gonna now delete the storage account, and we're gonna go for vNet. Yay! Okay. So for the storage account, this is all. We've just pretty much gone to every feature there and talked and discussed about it and did lab for those which were possible. And now we don't really need that storage account. But before deleting the storage account, I need to really remove the lock for delete here. And I'll just go ahead and click that delete. Now the lock is gone. So I'm just going to go to the resource group here, and I'll just go for 04 here, and in fact go down here inside the resource group, delete resource group here, and paste it here, and then delete. Yay! So the resource group here is being deleted now. So we've covered all the storage related options there inside the storage account there. Now what we needed to do was we can just go for vNet, how vNet is created, and how subnets are created, how all the default options of routing table are created there. So if I just go there to the subnet related stuff or vnet related stuff, then what we need to do is to go to the vNet there, autoscale, Azure operations, Azure entities, and there is that virtual networks here. In the virtual networks, what we do is we can go for vNet weight pairing and also the vNet lab itself. So which lab was 2019.5? So that would be the Azure vNet lab. So I'll be creating a Azure vNet lab here, and I'm just going to be explaining the subnets and default accounts, and then vNet and virtual network benefits here. There is that watch out for overlap. We need to do that. Then vNet 1 custom DNS, and there is that vNets can be in different cloud services, regions, or even subscriptions. Also, there is that VPN can be connected between the vNets as well. And then there's planning Azure virtual networks. So we have to understand that how to create a VNet, or do you want to supply DNS information, DHCP should be there or not. And then virtual networks per subscription, default limit is 50 and maximum limit is 100. Then there is local network. So there's local network sites per subscription 20, and then there's DNS servers that are 20 and maximum is 100. Private IP address per virtual network is 4000. You can go for concurrent TCP connections for a virtual machine or role instance. There is NSG network security groups, and then there is NSG rules per NSG. So you can create a 400 maximum network security group and attach it to a VNet. Azure virtual machine network limits there. Then route tables, you can create maximum 200 route tables per VNet. User defined routes per route table, again maximum is 400. Public IP dynamic, reserved public IP. Public IP dynamic, you can have 5, and reserved public IP address 20 minimum, but you can contact support and pay them. So, and then you can have public VIP per deployment 5, which is virtual IP for load balancer as well. Private virtual IP per deployment 1, and then endpoint access control list is 50. So you can create 50 access control lists there. Consider multiple IPv4 subnets. Too many devices for existing subnet, simply add another subnet if you have that many devices. Azure reserves 5 IP addresses per subnet, right? Security requirements, it's Azure Resource Manager. NSGs, network security groups, are applied on a per subnet basis. And okay, NSGs apply on per subnet basis, yes. Hybrid scenario, VPN gateway and express route, those are like if you want to connect to your branch, so you can use the real fast express route, or you can use the virtual private network from your branch. So there are these ways we can just go for the two subnets we're going to be creating, and then we will be connecting those two subnets to our if I just go inside. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to be creating a VNet, then we're going to create two subnets. One is public subnet, one is private subnet. Then we will create a jump PC or bastion VM, we can say. So from our laptop we can connect to our jump PC. So jump PC or bastion PC, that we will connect there. And we're going to connect a route table there as well. So for that, I'm just going to go down to the details of that, so we can see that how to create a VNet and try to. So this is what we're going to do: the public subnet and then private subnet, and then we're going to connect it through on-premises VM. So there is that comparison between Azure, AWS, and Azure as well. So what it is called in AWS, what it's called in Azure. Then major steps are we're going to create two security groups for VM ports, then create a virtual network, and then create two subnets inside it. Create vNet and then create two subnets, connect both security groups to their respective subnets, create two VMs and connect them to their corresponding subnets, and connect VMs also to their respective security groups. Now connect to public VM and log into it, and then RDP to private VM. So this is what we need to give: one public subnet, one private subnet. We're going to connect to our public VM in the public subnet, and from there we're going to connect to the private VM there. So the details are, then let's create two security groups, public security group and private security group. Let's keep all basic settings enabled on public security group. Let's make changes in the private security group so that it can only communicate with the public subnet. Can send 3389 port 80 traffic only to this. Now let's create a, this is the first step, but actually let's just create two subnets and give them the IP and then go for and create the two security groups. That will be better. So I'm just going to create first the vNet, new vNet. Then I'm going to create a public subnet. Then I'm going to create a private subnet. And then we're going to put the machines inside. So first thing is that while this is deleting that today's resource group, I'm just going to create another one. So if I just go to this, first of all, the vNet virtual networks here, and in there I'm just going to create a new vNet here. And here it is, we can just call it test-vnet. And so it is already given me a range 10.1.0.0/16 for the whole vNet. And if we pay as you go resource group, I'm just going to create new right now because the one that I created is deleting. I should have actually done that and then deleted it. So it will be again your first name dash 04Nov2019 dash RG. So that resource group, and press OK. So I'm just putting that RG. Then East US is OK. Default. Then there is, I'm just going to name that subnet as public dash subnet. And then I'm just giving it 10.1.0.0. If I go back to my slide here, so there it is saying 10.2 we're giving. So yeah, we can just give one here and one here as well. It just doesn't matter. 10.1 instead of 0, we can just give 100.0 and 101.0. So I'm just gonna put that 10.1.100.0/24. So that is our public subnet according to so public subnet would be 10.1.100.0/24, 10.1.100.0/24, and then there is that endpoint getting created. So I'm just going to click the create. So the new vNet with the new subnet, which is the public subnet, it is getting created now. So when the public subnet, right now there are two things going on there. One is my older resource group with all the resources that I've created for storage account are getting deleted, and then there, okay, it's gone, and the other one resource group is done and vNet is also done. So I'm just gonna go, virtual net is done, so I'll just go inside the virtual network here, and resource not found, this means it is oh, this is resource group, seriously. Okay, I'll just go for the virtual networks here and refresh. There's the test-vnet that I just created now. And if I go to the subnets here, so the subnets are already, public subnet is created. I'm gonna go for add, and I'll just create a private dash subnet, and then it will be 10.1.101 instead of, So 101.0/24 is a subnet, and we haven't created a security group yet, but we will be creating that. Routing table has not been created, and delegate. So service endpoint's not created. I'm just gonna press OK, and the second subnet is being created now. Now the public subnet and private subnet, once we have created, so we can now go for the security groups. So I'll just go back to the security group, create two network security groups there, and create a virtual network, and then create two subnets. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go for, let's create two security groups, public security group and private security group. Let's keep all the basic settings enabled on public security group. Let's make changes in the private security group so that it can only communicate with the public subnet, and that's what we want to get. And now let's create a vNet. So I'm just going to go for the security groups now when the public and private subnets are created. So if I go for security, and okay, it's normally a network security group. So yeah, there you go. So but well, it says classic, so network, yeah, there is that non-classic. When I go to network security group, then I click the add button, and first the public network security group. So I'll go for today's resource group, and public -nsg, and it's in East US, and tags, nothing there. Review plus create. So again, I'll just go for network security and network security groups. So, and then I'll just click the add, because the first security group is still getting created. I don't need to wait for that. I'll go for the RG here, and private-nsg, private security group, and also in East US. Review plus create and create. So the first public security group has been created there. I'm just gonna go to the resource here, and so I'm inside the public NSG here. It needs to be, first of all, it is good. Inbound security rules is there. I haven't added the RDP port there, so I'm just gonna go for a public security group and click the add, and any and destination port is this, but I'll just go for destination port as 3389, and priority is 100, and I'll just put as RDP. Obviously it is RDP, and click add. So RDP is added to the public NSG, and if I go back to this slide here, so it says here, let's create two security groups here, public security group, and in everything enabled. Let's make changes in the private security group, so it can only communicate with the public subnet, can send 338980 traffic only to this. So now I'm just gonna go for, so public is accepting traffic from anywhere, sources anywhere, right? And the destination port is RDP and 3389. So I'm just gonna go for again the other security group there, and network security, that's what I searched, and then I went for security groups. So yeah, public NSG and private NSG are there. If I go to private NSG there, and I'm gonna add there also that it can receive RDP traffic in the inbound rules, but I'll have to make sure that it is only receiving the traffic from, so not from source any, but I'll just go for an IP address, and it can only receive traffic from 10.1.100.0/24, right? That's the other subnet, public security group subnet, that it's going to receive traffic from. it's going to be destination port range, or actually source port range, right? So source port range would be RDP. Port ranges, seriously, what am I doing there? Yeah, it will be 3389. So and destination any, and it would be good. Name would be RDP. Okay, so now priorities 100, name, RDP rule, port, actually source network is this, and oh, actually the port is still wrong. I didn't put it on the port. I'll just go inside, and the port was here. Destination port range, source port range was this, and destination port is, yeah, it's okay, right? Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just go there, and yeah, private NSG needs to be connected to the subnet and the vnet, so I'm just gonna associate the private NSG with the test vnet first of all, and the subnet would be private subnet, and okay. Then I'm gonna connect the public NSG to associate, and I'll go for first which vnet to associate, which I just created just now, and then public subnet, and okay. So now if we go for the diagram here, just connected to the proper subnets there, yes, we did that. And then final is that it is going to be, let's create public VM and private VM, and simply attach public VM to public subnet, private VM to private subnet. So I'm just gonna go to another screen there, and it is virtual machines. In the virtual machines, I'm just gonna go to add button here, and go to then we go for your first. So it's, I'm just gonna call it public VM dash VM, and I'll go for East US, and that's it. It's going to be Windows 2019, and I'll just connect to your first name admin, and the password would be this. And if we go for allow ports, it's RDP, but I'm just gonna attach that the NSG to this networking. So it, first of all, it is test vnet, yes, and second thing is it is not the private, it's the public VM, and advanced, if we go to that, the NSG that we have to select is the public NSG here, and we're not load balancing. So next, manage, turn off the boot diagnostics, tags, advanced nothing here, tags nothing here, review plus create, and then create. So then I'm going to go for the second virtual machine here, and then it's the same resource group today, and then I'll just go for private dash VM, and it's gonna be East US, and then we're gonna go for 2019, and your first name admin, and then there is that IP there, and well, I don't need inbound ports there, so I'm just gonna click disks. Nothing in the disks. Networking. Yes, I need to connect to test vnet. It is the private vnet, and private vnet should not have a public IP, so I'm gonna click none here and go for advanced here, and it will be private NSG, and now we're kind of good. Nothing in the management except for turn off the boot diagnostics. Advanced, nothing in the advanced, nothing in the tags. No, review plus create, and then click create. So the two machines are getting created now, and I need to connect to the public VM and then to the private VM from there. That should just explain this lab. So in next lab, we're going to go for vNet peering as well, and then databases and some other smaller services. Pretty much 2 more classes. We're going to be done with that. So the 2 machines are created here. The first machine is done. So I'm going to click the go to resource. That's the public VM. And I'll click the connect. Download RDP file. And then just download it here. And then click that, connect to the public VM. From there, I need to connect to the private VM. And then your first name admin and the password. Yes. So while one machine is getting connected, so from this machine I need to connect to the other machine, and that machine is still getting created right now. So from here I need to connect to the other machine here, and so other machine got created as well. I need to go to the resource for the other machine, and now I cannot connect to that machine because it only has a private IP. It doesn't have a public IP because we put it to none, but it should be accepting traffic from the public virtual machine which I'm connected to right now. So this is the IP there which I copied. And I just need to go to right click and type mstsc to create a remote desktop connection here, and type the public IP. If everything is okay, then it should ask me for username, password, and your first name admin, and that's the same password I gave to the other machine. Okay guys, so we were able to connect from one public subnet to the private subnet. And how we know that? Because this is a machine inside a machine here, right? So that's two machines that are there. One is the public IP, other one is the private IP. So if we go down to this, we were able to actually select and create that. So what I did was I created one vNet. I created two subnets there. One is public subnet, one is private subnet. Private subnet cannot have a public IP there, so it just has a private IP. And first I connected from on-premises laptop to the public VM. Then I connected to the private VM this way. So this is the lab that we did with our public VM and private VM. So now, guys, we'll meet in next class, but we're gonna go for the vNet peering, and then we're gonna go for databases as well, and pretty much we're gonna try to wrap up with some smaller topics also there. So we try to cover already the Azure, connection from on-premises. Then we went for IAM. Then we went for virtual machines, load balancing, and then we went for all the features of storage. And now the vNet, we create the vNet as well. We're gonna try to just explore the vNet peering as well in next class, and then databases. So pretty much two classes we're gonna be wrapping up with this course. So guys, this is it for I could start vNet peering, but that's not gonna be enough time for us because that takes time. So for now, do practice these labs after the video is after you get the video. And for now, bye bye. See you in next class, 6:55 sharp. So we could just go for the next one. Yeah, not enough time today. Alright, guys. So thank you for listening, and enough brain power. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you both. And we'll meet again in next class with peering and databases and some smaller topics to wrap up the course. So okay, bye. Okay, bye bye. See you. All right. See you. Bye bye.
You are the